He's talking about how dating in the States is difficult, but like, don't worry about it, you'll figure it out over time. And I'm like, bro, like, are you sure about that? It's kind of, I don't know if that's accurate. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel where we eat foreign food and talk about overseas lifestyle. Here I got Yucy with me.
Hey.
Babe, if you're ready, let's get started.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, so there's this video I came across of an Asian American guy, and he's talking about passport bros, and he was saying some pretty interesting things. So let's go ahead and play it. Like, it's a short video, so we can play it here, and we'll just see, then we'll talk about it.
I keep seeing passport bro discourse on my feed, but I feel like Japan really nailed it when it comes to talking about those kind of guys, because they just call him LBH, loser back home.
Okay, so interesting video, right? Like, he's Asian, so when he says something about Asia, I think a lot of people are gonna listen to him. I mean, like, if an Asian person, like, I'm a black person, so if I tell you something about hip-hop, you're probably more likely to believe me. So him as an Asian American person, he's talking about Asians, so I think a lot of people might believe, hey, that's what they believe because he says it. Yeah, so like a lot of people, because he's Asian, a lot of people are probably going to watch this video and they're going to think, yeah, like, Asians really think that way about passport bros. So like, babe, let me ask you, like, when he made that video, like, what did you get from that video, first of all? Like, when you saw that video, what did you think?
Babe, I'm so excited about our international vacation. How are you going to pack?
Yeah, that's a great question, babe. Well, wherever we go, I got to stay fresh. So I bring my TravaLux toiletry bag. It holds everything I need to stay looking good while we're out there traveling. And we're shipping these things out soon. So go to luxologylifestyle.com, get your bag, guys. We're shipping these things out. You gotta have yours while you're traveling the world. It's a great time of year to travel, 2023. Gotta go get it, y'all.
Yeah, go get it now.
Yeah. When he made that video, like, what did you get from that video, first of all? Like, when you saw that video, what did you think?
Okay, first of all, I think he just doesn't like passport bros. And he is American Asian, but he's not real Asian because he doesn't live in Asia. And I think a lot of people in Asia don't know what is passport bro. We don't know that. Yeah. And also I think he can't represent every Asian person.
Okay. Yeah, so like when I watched that video, it's kind of like he's giving off that vibe, like, yeah, like, get it from me, like, I'm an Asian, I know. And like, okay, like, he's like, based off what I know, he's Asian American. I don't know how much time he spent in Asia, but it kind of seems like, he's just taking that stance, like, yeah, you guys can trust me, like, you can trust me, I'm an Asian, like, and I know what they call these guys. So I thought the video was kind of interesting in that aspect. But of course, I kind of disagree with it because, like, there's like a long backstory behind it, so let's talk about it. The biggest reason this caught my attention is because, like, it's an Asian male, like, talking about passport bros, and usually you don't see that, and he's talking about how, like, passport bros are labeled losers back home, which I found really interesting because there's like a big history behind that whole LBH thing. So like, babe, let me ask you, like, what are some negative labels that you've heard, like, maybe Chinese people use for describing foreigners?
Foreigners? The thing I heard the most is white trash. Yeah, because most foreigners here are white people and they came here to teach, and I guess maybe it refers to white people. Yeah, and also the reason why people think they're white trash because people saw because there are some low quality white people. Like, for example, I saw some white guys, they do drugs and they got kicked out of China. So maybe this word could be like referring to them. Yeah.
White trash is kind of like, I've heard it thrown around a lot in America, but like I've also heard it thrown around a little bit in China. And honestly, it seems like a lot of this kind of negative labeling, it comes from like the wealthier Asian countries, because like, think about it from their position. Like, if you're like a rich country and people who they come over to your country and they're working jobs, and the job might pay really well, but like maybe compared to the richer people in that country, even though you're making good money, you're kind of average. And like, if there are some people who look like you who are like causing problems and getting arrested and all this other stuff, they might, you know, all it takes is like one bad example of a person to make a whole group of people look bad. So like that kind of stuff builds up over time. So you might have these kind of labels that get put on people who come to a new country. So like over here in Asia, we have this thing called like a white monkey job. It's basically a job where you get paid to be a foreigner. You basically just show up and like 80% of your job is just being a foreigner. And it's somewhat low skilled, but some of it's pretty high paying. So a lot of people will specifically come over to Asia just to work like white monkey jobs. And it can be pretty lucrative. But like from like the wealthier people or maybe more educated people, they might kind of look down on you. Even though you're making really good money, there's some people who might think, oh, you know, you're kind of a loser or something, you know? So
yeah, it's kind of like that's the only option you have because you don't have other options. You don't have other skills. So maybe just being a foreigner is the only thing you can do.
Yeah. Like, you know, and in Asia, these kind of jobs are they're everywhere. Like you walk around, you'll see billboards and people can be models. Like, you know, you see people who are just kind of average looking foreigners. They get paid to be models. And like, you know, it's kind of a low skill job. You're just basically paid to be a foreigner. But those kind of jobs, especially in a place like China, there's so many of those kinds of jobs. So after a while, you know, like if enough people come to a country and they're kind of low skilled and they don't have much else to offer besides like, you know, just being a foreign face, they might just get a reputation as, oh, you know, these people are kind of losers, you know. So babe, like, what do you think about this whole concept of like white monkey jobs? Like based off what you know about it, you've been in China, you've probably had a few white monkey teachers maybe who like could have possibly taught you English. So like, what do you think about white monkey jobs?
Okay, so I think I'm fine with those jobs. I'm fine with those foreigners doing that kind of job. I mean, it's good. They pay you well and it's easy. So I think anyone would do that kind of job, right? It's easy and you get paid well. If I'm in America and somebody would pay me just to be Asian, then I would definitely do it. In here are also some low-skilled job. Like you don't need a lot of skills to do that kind of job, and even well-educated people would do that. Like in China, delivery guys are really, I mean, being a delivery guy is really popular. Even well-educated people with master degree, graduate degree would do that kind of job because it just pays well, you know?
Yeah, so like personally, I have no issue if like, you know, people want to pay you to just show up for an easy job and kind of make good money. Me personally, I've worked a few white monkey jobs, and even though I'm black, like pretty much white monkey, it doesn't just refer to white people. It's like basically any job a foreigner can do. Even a foreigner who speaks pretty good English or basic English, you can do that job. So I've gotten a few jobs like that and they paid pretty well, so I don't really have any regrets about doing them, you know. Like if people want to pay me just to show up and it's not a difficult job, you know, why not do it? So pretty much one of the biggest issues I have with this video is that this guy is using LBH, loser back home, to describe like a new movement, which is the passport bros. Like LBH has been around for probably over 10 years, I think. Like it's been around like since before I left America. So for him to kind of take that phrase and throw it on this movement is kind of disingenuous, I think. Because people who've been teaching English overseas and like, okay, like back before I left America, I had a Korean friend who told me, you know, English teachers in South Korea, they kind of have like a bad reputation. That's what they told me. This was before I left America. And I heard this and I was like, you know, it kind of dissuaded me a little bit against being an English teacher because I didn't want to kind of be lumped in with like a bunch of losers. But like, you know, that was around even back then. So now you got this guy here, like the new passport bros movement, like how it's been labeled. He's trying to say like, oh, these guys are LBH. But LBH has nothing to do with passport bros. The thing is, like, the majority of English teachers that come overseas are white men. So like this whole LBH thing, it was originally used on white males who would come overseas. And it's not even just English teaching, it's just kind of like white people who would come overseas, like white guys. For some reason, maybe they engaged in some kind of behavior that local people didn't like. And they were engaged, they were, you know, labeled as losers, you know. So that's kind of how it goes. But it has nothing to do with kind of this new movement that's going on. So LBH was primarily used, like you heard my girl say, she talked about white trash and we talked about white monkey jobs. These are labels that were given to white people who come overseas, and it kind of has nothing to do with like, you know, passport bros. Any race of person can be a passport bro, but it's like passport bros is kind of primarily a label given to like black male travelers. So for them to like use LBH on this movement of mostly black male travelers, it just, you know, it's kind of just incorrect. It's an incorrect label. Okay, and here's a second video we're gonna watch where this guy, he responds to a comment that someone left that's really similar to what I just talked about. So let's watch and see how he responds to it.
Just because y'all can't get it through your fucking dusty skulls, let me just clarify. Passport bro, LBH, sexpat, they're all the same fucking thing. And they come from the United States, they come from the UK, they can come from any country, okay? The through line here is not race or nationality. The through line here is that they have zero fucking game in their home country.
I really don't like his style of communication. Like, it's kind of like aggressive and negative, and I'm like, you know, he's using all this profanity. That's not really how you talk to someone with like a level of human decency. Like, if you're gonna have a debate or a conversation with someone who disagrees with you, there's kind of like a level of respect you want to bring to it. And I feel like this guy, I looked at his TikTok videos on his channel, and I don't want to critique him personally, but it just seems like his style of communication is just not very mature. And like, I saw a video by Mr. Beast. He's like the most famous YouTuber, and he talked about how like negative videos get way more views than like positive videos. And I think for this guy, one of the reasons his video went viral is because like he's saying negative things about passport bros, and it's like, you know, people are gonna watch this because negativity travels a lot faster than positivity. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And people pay attention to controversial topics more. And plus, I think this guy wants to get attention. And obviously, he doesn't care what you think, or he doesn't care. He doesn't want to talk about the truth. I think he just wants attention without any thinking.
Yeah. It's like maybe he's kind of interested in just expressing his opinion, and he doesn't really care about if it's like 100% correct, or he's already made up his mind kind of. He's probably already decided that I'm right, and like you guys are idiots for not believing in me, or not, you know, for trying to disagree with me. So, you know, you can't really argue with these kinds of people because it's just not worth it.
They won't listen to you.
Yeah, like they won't listen to you. It's just not worth it. So like this guy's opinions are just kind of weird to me because on the one hand, he acknowledges that there are problems in the States. Like, he's American, so he knows like there are problems in the States. But on the other hand, he's calling guys losers for like going overseas and finding better options. So his like opinion is just a little bit weird to me. Like, we got this one video here that we're gonna watch, and like you're gonna see like it's kind of like he's giving like a lot of mixed signals. So let's watch it and see how it goes.
Gentlemen, as soon as you step foot in a foreign country, your sexual market.
If you're a young American man and you're having a hard time dating in the United States, I completely understand why the concept of the passport bro and all these like sexual exploits that they talk about, like why that would be appealing. I just want you to take a second to like observe your surroundings, right? Like when you watch these videos from these supposed passport guys, that's what they look like. They got a mask on. They're using a voice filter. Right? You go on their profile pages and it's like blank profile pics. They can't even say the shit that they're saying with their chest, right? They hide behind anonymous profile photos. They sound angry and bitter and washed up. Is that the company that you want to keep? As a guy who was a late bloomer, trust me, I understand how frustrating dating, especially dating in the United States, can be. But just because it's difficult, it doesn't mean that this is the only alternative. Once you scrape past all the propaganda talking points, it becomes pretty easy to recognize what kind of people passport bros are. Also, it's worth noting, like, there's obviously nothing wrong with being a solo traveler and going to another country. And maybe you go to another country and you meet a cute girl and things work. Like, that's not what we're talking about. You got dudes like this talking about how as soon as you get off the plane, your sexual market, like, bro, what the kind of is he? What is he on? Like, you, I think anyone with a little bit of common sense can recognize that that's just dog. If you're a young kid and you're just frustrated with your dating experience, I promise you that that's not the alternative that you want to choose. Have a little bit more optimism and hope in yourself that things will work out. You have time, especially if you're young, right? There's a lot of time, a lot of space to grow and change. And you don't have to resort to turning into this, to whatever the that was.
So in this video right here, like he's talking about how dating in the States is difficult, but like, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out over time. And I'm like, bro, like, you know, are you sure about that? It's kind of, I don't know if that's accurate. Am I going to figure it out over time? So it just seems like his views are kind of like contradictory, because on the one hand, he's saying like he doesn't understand what like sexual market value is. But on the other hand, he's saying like, hey, you guys just don't have any game, you know. But those kind of things go hand in hand. So it's like you're saying we don't have game, while at the same time saying that you don't understand how someone can be more attractive in one situation than they are in another situation, which is basically sexual market value. So it's kind of, you know, just a big contradiction on his end, and it doesn't really make sense from like just a logical perspective. Like it seems like, based off what I've seen, like his fan base is kind of women, so it seems like that's who he's trying to appeal to with his videos. And it's just kind of, you know, his way of talking to people is just kind of childish and not logical. But you know, this guy, like, he doesn't approve of men traveling to get laid. But like for me, like, how is traveling to a different country to meet women any different than a guy going to like a nightclub to kind of meet women? You know, like, you're both going someplace to go get, you know, women, but I guess it's less cool to catch a flight somewhere compared to going to a club, because I guess catching a flight is more effort, and like if you have to put in a lot of effort to get women, you're like a loser. That's what these kind of people think. So it's just kind of, I just don't like this kind of thinking, because it doesn't make any sense, you know. Like,
yeah,
like in the States, like we have this kind of culture where like men, like a wealthy man, he's gonna fly a woman out to go meet her. Like, you know, he sees her on the internet, he wants to talk to her, and he's gonna like fly her out.
Really?
To maybe like his place. Like I told you that story about that guy from Friends, that guy Chandler, like the actor, like he saw a girl and he flew her out, you know, to France, and they were doing whatever and like partying. But that kind of thing's becoming pretty common in today's culture, where you can kind of reach out to someone on the internet. Mm-hmm. But like, how come like that's acceptable, but like actually going yourself is kind of unacceptable? Like it seems like in the States, like they think it's okay to, you know, paying for other women like to come meet you and like taking care of her is okay, but like if for you to go out to a foreign country and do that with women there, you think you're kind of a loser, I guess. Like it's like, babe, like what do you think about that? This whole concept of like, I fly a person out to meet me, like a girl, like if you want to date someone, like a guy sees a girl on the internet, he said, hey, I'll pay for your flight, you come meet me. Or it's like the guy flies to that woman's area to meet her. Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's their right and their freedom to do this kind of stuff, as long as they both agree with that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. All right, yeah, I agree. Like, you know, it's their freedom. Like, and in the States, it seems like it's pretty common. Like, you hear like in all the rap songs, like a woman saying like, hey, like you got to pay for this, got to fly me out, and all this other things. It seems like they're okay with it if you're doing it for an American woman, but if you're actually going someplace else for like a foreign woman, they're gonna try to label you a loser, even though it's pretty much the exact same thing. So like this kind of guy right here, he kind of seems to echo those kind of views where I'm not sure what his goal is, but you know, he doesn't seem to like guys traveling to meet women and, you know, have these kind of relationships. Like he maybe has some kind of, I'm gonna say like his views maybe are kind of conservative. Like he seems like kind of, I don't know how, but like I don't know how you can grow up in America and have like conservative views about sex, but the way he talks, he's kind of like, you know, hey, maybe you'll meet a cute girl and like something will happen. But like a normal like heterosexual male in America doesn't really talk that way, you know, because you know, like the dating culture in America, kind of being toxic is what's attractive. So like he's talking like kind of a pure boy. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like his views, it's just I'm really curious about this guy's background, because I can't imagine like this kind of guy having lots of success in America dating. And like, okay, I didn't want to bring up the Asian thing, but the fact is like, okay, he's Asian American, and he talked about how he was kind of a late bloomer in the States, and how like he didn't really have a lot of success with women. So it's really interesting to me how like this kind of guy, he can go on about how like passport bros are losers and like for going overseas meeting women, but he knows like pretty much every Asian guy that I've spoken to who's gone to America or traveled to America, they've told me like, okay, dating in America is like super difficult for Asian guys.
Why is it so difficult?
Because like for Asian guys, like the media kind of labels Asian guys as kind of not attractive. Like, you know, I remember seeing this movie The Hangover where like an Asian guy was like locked in the trunk and he jumped out of the trunk naked, and like, you know, his like cock size was super small, and like that's the kind of media representation that Asian guys have. Like, you know, it doesn't make them look very attractive to women, and like it's just like they've just been labeled negatively as like not attractive. So it's dating as an Asian American, from most of the guys I've heard from, like the vast majority, almost 100%, they've all told me that dating is pretty difficult in the States for Asian guys. So yeah, I have Chinese Canadian friends, and I know like a Korean American guy, and they traveled over to Brazil during some kind of festival, and they just told me like, you know, during that time they were just swiping on Tinder every day. Like they had different women coming over to their home every day, and that's like very different than how like an Asian American guy would be treated in the States. Like guys in the States, Asian guys in the States aren't gonna get that kind of treatment from women, where you got different women, like beautiful women coming over your home every day from Tinder. Like that does not seem to be the reality of a lot of Asian guys. So, you know, it shows you that even for Asian men, there are places where you're going to be treated better than you would in the States. So yeah, like the biggest problem that I have with this guy's videos is that he just kind of throws all these negative labels on the passport bros. Like, it's not that passport bros are losers. That's not the case. It's the case that you're taking all these groups of people, like these negative labels, and you're choosing to bunch them together with the passport bros, and it's just kind of, you know, it's not healthy discussion. And I really disagree with this kind of thinking, the kind of way he speaks and the way he makes arguments. It's just super negative, and it's not how you want to treat like a group of people. Like, you're just gonna throw negative labels on them. And yeah, that's my opinion on it. So what do you think?
I think he just wants attention, and I don't know what he really thinks, but usually this kind of people, they don't care the truth. They don't care about the truth. They just want to say bad things to you and get attention.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Like, I spent like an hour, like I spent way too much time looking at this guy's TikTok because I wanted to make sure that I understood like where he was coming from. And I think I have a pretty good understanding of where he was coming from after watching so many of his videos. And it's just like, you know, he's coming from like a perspective of he thinks he's right, and anyone who disagrees with him is like, you know, an idiot. So you can't really argue with these kinds of people. Like, they don't care about the truth. So yeah, I would just advise you guys, like, don't engage in online arguments with these types of people. It'll just waste your time, and you'll end up just pissed off and like, dang, I wasted like over an hour going back and forth with this guy. Like, why did I do that? But the good news is that these types of people, they don't really have any power, you know. Like, he's just like one person on the internet speaking his opinion. Like,
yeah, he can't control you.
Yeah, like,
and also maybe he doesn't have a good life.
Yeah.
You can have a good life.
Yeah, definitely. Like, these types of people who like throw venom on the internet, you know, usually their life in real life isn't that great, so they go to the internet and spread kind of, you know, they try to spread chaos. But, you know, you don't have to be one of those types of people. You know, you have the option to live your life a different way. Yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. I just wanted to watch this video with y'all, like, have some conversation about this, because his video went viral. So, like, you know, a lot of people are gonna watch that and they're gonna think like, hey, Asians think this way. But I've been living in Asia for almost 10 years, and I can, you know, there's a lot more to it than that. Like, you can't just sum up a whole group of people in like a 12-second TikTok video. Thankfully, you know, we have the internet, so we can like spread real information. But yeah, I just wanted us to talk about this because this was getting a lot of views, and I just really wanted to clear the air.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching us, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe and give us a like.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. So yeah, y'all, now's a great time of year to travel. Go get your TravaLux bag. I want to see you catching flights and going all over the world looking your best. So go get the bag.
Yeah, go get it now.
Yeah.